here.
Okay.
Here, and we are ready to get started.
Okay.
Thanks, Genby. Go ahead and take it away.
All right. Here we are. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yep, your screen is up.
All right. All right, so my thesis project title was basically how architecture can help kids in Haiti that doesn't have the opportunity to go to school. And growing up in Haiti, seeing the struggle that most of those kids are going through, and kind of learn the story, kind of the history of Haiti. I kind of wanted to base my thesis on all those things I've learned in architecture to see how um, you know um, architecture can help kids in Haiti that doesn't have the opportunity to go to school. So I started by doing a rundown of the history of the place, because I felt like before you start doing a project or something about a country, I feel like it's always important to learn the history of the things that happen, in the country before you can, start doing whatever you want to do. And the stuff that I realized and found out, like, living in Haiti, the reason why Haiti had such difficulty, developing and stuff, because of all those things that this country been through. It's unorganized government, financial reparation to France in 1825, lack of resources, depletion of resources, the rice crisis, infrastructures, political corruption, and earthquake. I'm gonna go through some of the detail of some of those things that I mentioned, not all of them, and because it would take a while to go over everything. And another thing that doing research is the struggle that Haiti been through since we won our independence from France, and we went our independence in France, and some of those political instability and devastating natural disaster like the earthquake that happened in Haiti, and all those things, and in that, putting all those things together kind of make Haiti become the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And for the government corruption and gang violence, Haiti till this day still not a place that people feel safe. A place like those kids that in the street that doesn't have like somewhere to go to, don't even feel safe. And that's the reason why I kind of want my project to base on open something that can give those kids a space to feel safe, learn something, and not being on the street. Not being on the street, and also not because education in Haiti is not easy because all the schools that we have are basically private school. So that's what I wanted to do to give those kids a safe place, a place that they can feel like this is where they want to go to learn something. And in 2014, Haiti was ranked the top 15 co-op country in the world because every government that come into power never trying to pick um, something that the previous president started. It's always something else. It's always about them. It's not always helping the community, helping the people, helping the kids, that industry that doesn't have the opportunity to go to school or do anything. And I kind of do a downline history of Haiti and see the struggle that Haiti been through starting in 1700 till until 1956, and also kind of look the culture of Haiti, and also how we fought the French, and how the when Spain come to Haiti, what happened. And it's I kind of give do a graphic of a storyline of Haiti, like the Papa Doc movement, voodoo in Haiti. How did voodoo help Haiti gain their independence and stuff? And we go to the financial reparation that put Haiti in debt till now. The money that we had to pay France to in order for them to recognize our independence, because the money that we paid them was for um, reparation for the people that used to live there, that lost their land, that lost their property. So those are the money that we have to pay friends in order to give those people that lost all those things that when they was living in Haiti. And then, like, as you guys can see, like 80% of the revenue of Haiti went on paying this debt, which this money could have do something else, and help Haiti, help people living there, help the kids. And another thing that I was doing research on, the earthquake that happened in Haiti in 2010, that leave a lot of people in the street, that let a lot of people, die. And till this day, they still don't have the exact amount of people that died, because like I stated before, because of lack of resources that we don't have those type of technology that can help us, like find out, and how many people that that died. So this is like a roughly estimated of people that they think that died during the earthquake, but it's not the exact amount of people. And another thing that I was looking on, try to help those kids is um when me and Sylvia talked, like I kind of wanted to do a art center where those kids can come and learn something. And during the earthquake, like I was trying to do some research on many of art center that got destroyed during the earthquake, and see because art, it's really a big part, a big culture in Haiti, because everywhere you go, like even at church, even at school, like there's always some type of art, there's always some type of mural of art. And that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to stick with, kind of stay with the culture, because the Haitian culture is really big. And then I feel like art was one of the things that I was kind of want to focus on by open by opening something where those kids can learn something and feel safe at the same time. And those are some art pieces that got recovered after the earthquake. And those mural was, really important to some of those people, and then they was really expensive. And this is what we're looking at. This is the before, and this is this is what we're looking at is the after, and then this is the before the earthquake, the epicenter that we're looking at, and some more pictures. And then those are some of the mural that they recovered and stuff, and they kind of put them outside, trying to see what they can do with them, and stuff. And this is some other pictures that art stuff that got destroyed during the earthquake, and they're trying to recover them. And this is another church that was really popular in Haiti. When you go to that church, you feel safe. There's always an art display, and then they even have it's not really um one-time church. Like, people usually do art gallery inside of it, which I find really interesting. That's why I said, Haiti is really big when it comes to art. And so this church was basically destroyed in the earthquake, which was really sad. And then this church was like a woman Catholic church, and then it was built in 1884 and 1914, and it was dedicated on December 13, 1928. And this is another one, the Iron Market, that was a big market in Haiti, where tourists that come to Haiti, that's where they usually go when they wanna fight, anything that they want, because that market, like, there's a lot of stuff that you can find. And the market was also destroyed in 2008. And it was it was damaged by a fire in 2008, and then got destroyed in the in 2010 earthquake. So right now they trying to rebuild it. I'm not sure yet if it's done, repairing and stuff. And this is another picture of the Iron Market. So come up to the thing that I want to do for the art center. So I kind of created a framework where the stuff that I kind of want to have in the center. So I want to have a lobby, a studio room, a cafeteria, art display, and I want to have a movie room, library, and archive. So those archive, I kind of want them to be the art that got destroyed, during the earthquake. So those, we can preserve them, and then for people to come and look at them and see how rich Haiti is, how rich Haiti Haiti is rich in art. And then those are some personal study that I do, why I want my art center to kind of look like. And I've been looking at different art center from different country to see what can I come up with. And I also did like a mass section, kind of define the spaces where I want everything to be, and stuff. So I'm still working on some more stuff to see where everything, if I need to add more stuff for those kids, if I wanna if I what do I want, I already choose the place where I want the art center to be. I want it to be in Pétionville. The reason why I choose Pétionville, because Pétionville is the safest place in Haiti that I feel like those kids can feel safe, because that's where most people usually go, because it's close to the capital, but it's also a safe place. That's the reason why I choose Pétionville to do the center. And this is like a site analysis, which is not fully done yet, where I want the center to be. Me on Xavier can talk about where I can find somewhere that gets destroyed and maybe put the art center there somewhere that need development. So I choose a church that called Church of Saint Therese, which was in Haiti that got destroyed also in the earthquake. So so the church where I placed this, the circle right here, that's where the church used to be. And then this is a park that was created by the church, and that's where I choose to put my center there. And then the next step would be to kind of, because it's kind of right now it's kind of hard to give views of the street like in Haiti, because like I said, because of lack of resources. And whenever you go to Google, it's hard to find the actual street that you're looking at, because whenever you place the thing to like the street, it say like noted available for the street. So my plan was to go to Haiti and probably do 3 or 4 days, and I'm not sure if that's gonna be possible, and to kind of take pictures of where I want the center to be, or maybe contact some family there and then ask them to take pictures and then send them to me, and but we'll see how that goes. And that the end.
Do you have all this on a whiteboard somewhere?
On a whiteboard?
Yeah, like Miro or Mural or anything like that?
No.
Okay. So there's no place I can flip through the slides?
Let me see. Is this thing have, I think this thing have Is this one have the take control?
Yeah, here I'll ask. I just asked for control.
There you go.
All right, I can't even see what's going on here.
I think it's right. Can you see it now?
Yeah. So give me the short version of the thesis real quick. Just like 3 sentences.
How can architecture help help kids in Haiti that doesn't have the opportunity to go to school?
Okay, so this is a school?
Yeah, like it's gonna be most likely like an art center that include classroom.
Okay.
And also some of those things that I kind of mentioned. I don't want it to be like a school, but I kind of want it to be like an art center.
Okay.
Where those kids can learn music, art, and also learn the story of Haiti.
So the proposal is to replace something that's been destroyed?
Yes.
Or are you fencing something new?
Something that's been destroyed. I'm thinking on, because the things like, if there was a facade that was left behind, I could have used that facade and kind of built into it, but there was nothing left. So it's like it's gonna be something new.
So this is the same site?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if this is a proposal, if it's to be about a building, you have a lot of work to do in a very short period of time. How many weeks do we have left, Taryn? Not many at this point.
No, they don't have many. He doesn't. Yeah, there's not many left. So we've been trying to get to a framework for the program that he's looking for. So I would have liked to have seen more on that actual program framework for this. So that way he's got some started, but
okay. So you need to launch. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, in Genby, you also had at least some aerials that showed this in context of where it was. So I would definitely bring those back because I think that they're important and I think that they feed into that framework.
Okay.
So you need to launch into this in earnest. So you haven't. I mean, I can't see evidence that you've looked at the site, right? And I don't have an idea of what's there. I don't know if how dense this is, or, what the character of the place is like. I really don't know what this looks like, and so it's a little hard to critique. I mean, what it looks like, I mean, is if that's your sort of building shape there.
Yeah.
I don't really understand the forces that drive that, right? So we need to. You need to put me there. Explain, why there's this big void at the corner, why there's this sort of curve at the back. Are we taking advantage of views? Like, is there something to look at? Is there a reason for the shape here, right? First you start by sort of looking at the kind of developer's footprint, right? Like what the setbacks are, how much space you actually have to work in, right? Then you look at the functions around it and try to fill in for immediately local uses for a building. Like, is there a use for this big lawn out in front, or is that just meant to look good, right? Or should this be pushed at the corner because there is a sort of lively pedestrian intersection here? Or I don't have any of this information to critique for you. If like all that kind of thing, those are the parameters that you need that will, first of all, to really help you iron out a program, right? Because you'll be constrained in a lot of ways with some really basic requirements, right? And then you can design the building. You know what I mean? And looking at this kind of setup, it looks like a cool urban building. Like, I come up some sort of steps and I come under here and there's this nice outdoor space that looks fantastic, right? Underneath this cantilever thing, and there's a view here. We're obviously looking at something, but I mean, I need to understand that in order to be able to critique that. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
It looks like the bones of some pretty interesting architecture, but for example, how do you situate that big space beneath the cantilever relative to the streets and the city and the other things going on there, the sidewalks? Like, show me what's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Are there any other things that need to be added? Like, if this is less of a school than a civic building, is it a civic building or more of a community building, right? What does the community actually need you to build, right? Because as good as it is for us to go through and think about the underlying causes, I mean, it's essential, and the situation there, and what's happened. All of these things can't be fixed with a building, right?
Yeah.
You can, however, plug a hole. You know what I mean? You can look at uses that are immediately needed, right? And make a nice building to put those things in. You can't expect, though, that the building is going to fix poverty, or is going to do any of those things, right? And yeah, it's important to talk about those things, but you should also narrow down the focus of your intentions, right? Admit what you can't do, right? And then set a goal that is sufficiently ambitious that it doesn't seem like you're being a coward either. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, and Genby, I think in this too, right? Part of where you didn't talk about is why the focus on the children, right? So here's the context of everything, right? But we had a lot of conversations, and I know you did some history on why the focus on the children, the number of orphanages that are in Haiti, the number of people that send their children from the mountains to the city, right? And they don't have resources and they don't have the opportunity to be tied to the culture, right? So those were important pieces that you need to make sure you're telling as part of this story and why it's on kids, right? So this answers Mark's question about, well, why is it this type of center and not a general community center? Mm-hmm. Or why is it not a civic building? Or why, you know, and so that why is really important, right? Giving kids a place after school to be, giving opportunities to the number of kids that are in neighboring orphanages and things like that is also going to be, I think, key to you making sure that that is complete in that story.
I would totally buy that, right? This is a community center focused around art that you know, attempts to give children an educational framework, basically to keep them out from underfoot while you know, while everything else is going on. It's a place for them to grow up, right? It's a safe space in the neighborhood. Great, right? That we can do, that we can attack. But now you need to look at the site with that in mind and figure out what are the best ways to do that, right? And then convince me that that's there. And you know, first thing I would do is I'd give it a title, right? Because I launched into this without knowing where we were going, right? A title and a subtitle, like, you know, a civic building for, you know, XYZ, or a community art center for XYZ. Then you launch into your context, right? And then you start to narrow down the context to basically the constraints that you're devising, right? And then you show me the site analysis, and then we talk about the building. And you got like 3-4 weeks, so you need to drop absolutely everything you're doing, work 24/7, and get on it. It's a big task. You can do it. It's possible, but you're going to have to really work at it, right?
Yeah. So I think like some of the stuff that I kind of going through it, like when I talk to so you guys, like sometimes, like, you know, not being there and trying to see, because in my head, like some of the stuff I already know was there because I raised there and I know some of the stuff, but after the earthquake, like not everything was the same anymore. So like it's like going to you know, Google, trying to find the street to kind of give, you know,
so
the people a view of what's there.
You're going to have to draw it, right? This is where your skills in architecture, right, are really going to be put to the test, in that you have aerials to work from, but you're going to have to bring those aerials to life in 3D with drawings, right? So that we understand, like, well, what is that view? You're going to have to give us your best idea of what that view is, right? Be it based on the relationships that you understand are there on the ground. You know, you don't have photographs and street views and things like that to work from, which is okay, but you're going to have to make some assumptions about those, and know that, you know, it may or may not be exactly what's there, but it has to be the intention of what you're trying to use the architecture to do. So you're going to have to include those, right? So every drawing that you give us should have some context in it, since you don't have those photographs and those street views, right? So we should see, in whatever sections, angles that you take, what is the context that's around that building that you believe is there, or that you feel, should be there.
Okay. Especially as someone with, you say, close ties to the community, right? Or the culture, like you are of this place, right?
Yeah.
You need to use, that is specialty knowledge. You need to use that to make us a contextually sensitive building, right? Mm-hmm. Because the worst thing you could possibly do is to treat this as tabula rasa, right? This is like, this that's just not how things work. This is not a blank slate. The earth hasn't been wiped clean, right? There is still stuff there. And to start with, there's, even if everything had been completely mowed over and it's just rubble, there is actually still, there's a organizational political overlay. Like the lines for the streets are still on the map. They're probably going to go back in that spot, right? And that can be an opportunity to critique that, right? But you have to be sensitive about this, because you can't just go in and like say bulldoze a whole neighborhood, even if it's already rubble, right? Just to put in something that could be read as sort of what's the word? Well, I don't know, naive from a sort of bullish standpoint, right? It's a sort of bully move to assume that you know more than people who are there, right? But you are from there, so you can skip that whole step,
right?
And give us something that is actually useful, right?
And then in all the drawings, right, having annotations to help us understand why certain spaces, right? And you and I have had a lot of conversations, and I'm fortunate that I've been there and spent enough time that I understand a bit about Haiti, and not nearly as much time as you've spent, but understanding the need for people to have safe gathering spaces, right? And spaces where they might even be able to have displays or small market spaces, and those things that they're not afforded, right, with some of the other areas like within Port-au-Prince and at the port and such. And so creating those safe spaces within the framework of the building and its surrounding exterior, I think has been something that you've been trying to get to. And so we just need to see that why in the drawings.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to apologize. I didn't block out this time, and I got to go feed my daughter before her classes start.
That's okay, Mark. We appreciate you sticking on.
That has been delegated to me, so I'm going to go do that, and I'll be back for Jerry. Jerry's next. Is that right?
I think so.
Okay.
Great. So Genby, I think that this has been hopefully a helpful conversation in terms of knowing some of those next steps and the key things to make sure that you're showing in those drawings, right, as you get into those site plans. And don't be afraid to put that right over top of the aerial as well, right, and to show us that context of the aerial. And then, think about what does that aerial look like, when you go to look at it in 3D, in elevation, through your sections, and include that context in those drawings for a couple reasons. One, because it helps paint that whole picture for images that you don't have and that you can't get. But also because it'll help us connect, right, with those places. And then we know that the building itself is important, but we also know that those surrounding areas that you're creating through the building, right, are also important. And so by showing the additional context, whether it's like the street next to it, what we would see from the view, those pieces are going to be important in your drawings. So every time that you're doing a section, think of it as like a section perspective, right? What are we going to see behind it or next to it? And the same thing as, no matter which direction we're looking at it, even in elevation, right? Think of it as an elevation perspective, right? What happens behind. So I think that those are the ways that you can use your drawings to help tell the rest of that story, both about the building and its surrounding context.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that it was hard to find a good, location and to really pinpoint where it should be, but I think that you've done that. And I think that selecting this site, is a really strong move that you're making. And so the benefit, again, that I have is that I've seen the other sites that you were looking at, which maybe weren't as strong. as this one. So now you just need to show why it's this one. I know it, but you got to show everybody else too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So do you have any questions or anything that's been brought up between Mark and I so far?
No, not really. I just kind of writing down the stuff that you guys said and see how I'm gonna go about it for the next step, because we don't have that much time and stuff. And
yeah, I would get the aerials. I'd put your site plan on the aerials and start marking again which of the context, right, is really important. And then as you get to designing the floor plan, right, of your overall building, knowing where those are in relation, and as you move to the section, knowing where those contexts are in relation to the section, and then as you get to the elevation, so that we can see those. And if you're incorporating those perspectives into all of those drawings, you know, you're doing it all at one time. And it's probably a little bit going to be of a faster way to work, so that you're not having to do just plans, then sections, then elevations, then renderings, right? You're kind of putting them all together. So I think that will help. And then what we can do is, if you can hit the ground running, you know, when we meet next, we can really dig into those drawings and talk about how we can start to see some of the depth, right, behind and things like that, so that we can make sure that we're capturing it.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. And then make sure you write down that full list of program too, right, for all the spaces. So if there's, you know, you've already started it in the section, but like, you know, do it for the indoor spaces, the outdoor spaces, what they are, and the overall intention. And then Mark's right, you're going to have to title it. So let's come up with a good working title that we can talk about in our next meeting.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any comments, questions while we have a little bit of time? Okay, it's pretty quiet. All right, so Genby, if are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Anything else? Okay. So then we'll give everybody, this will all stay open, and then the next presentation will be on at 1 o'clock. Thanks, Genby.
No problem. Thank you.